So I'm going to start taking you through a few of the favorite systems we have here, especially for startups. So if you're trying to get into something new or something different from what you're traditionally used to. This one today, the ProPot system, the Nutrifield ProPot system, it comes in two sizes, 15 litres and 27 litres. It's one of our favorites because you can do so many different things with these pots. It's not really something you do for your leafy greens or your small herbs and things like that. You can. I mean, basil will get out of control in one of these things. You'll have a whole monster bush on your hands if you want. But more traditionally for your high-producing fruiting plants or anything larger. This here that I've kind of got to show you is a run-to-waste setup because you can set these up as a full deep water culture system by using this bottom bucket, or you can recirculate as well. So I'll quickly show you that at the end. But right now, so the most popular is a run-to-waste system. So what is that? It's where you feed it from a pump and then the water doesn't go back to your tank. That would be recirculating. So as a run-to-waste, the water goes through and it comes out of the bottom and it drains off. So it either drains off to somewhere where you repurpose it or it drains off to somewhere where you dump it, you waste it. So it doesn't sound like great, but if you got your timing on your feeds down, you're not going to be wasting too much water. But the most simplest way that people do this is they have this set up basically how I have it now. So you'd have your main reservoir. In the reservoir, you'd have your pump. From your pump, this will be running up the top into a feed ring like this. So there's different kinds of feed rings here. We have these Hydro Halos, which are really heavy duty. They last a long time in different sizes, or we got these classic feed rings. So basically from your pump out of your reservoir full of your nutrient water comes up to this. This would be sitting on top. This would be filled usually in a run-to-waste system with something that holds a bit more water, so you're not wasting as much, you don't feed as often. So something like cocoa perlite, peat mixes, like Canaterra, things like that. So best suited to these systems. So you'd be coming up and feeding. Also in your reservoir, you would be running a air pump. So we have twin air pumps here because this one has two outlets. We also have 4 outlets. So if you have several of these, you know, you're producing more air. Generally, this is just used into your reservoir with a couple of air stones to keep your water aerated. So you're increasing your oxygen levels in your water and stopping it from going stagnant. You'll see a massive difference in your plant growth if you do that. So these will be running in your reservoir. You've got a pump in there. It's pumping up and it's feeding this. And then from there, we have a grommet at the bottom here. And so the water that goes through your medium comes out of here, and you can either run it straight into a collection container if you have the space, where then you can just take this water and do what you will with it, if that's a very simple setup. But if you have a lot of them, you can do things like you can run like an elbow if you're at the end, or if you're in line with other buckets, you can run a T section. You can run just a straight if you're going to run your wastage straight out to somewhere else, or you can run a tap if you want control over the flow of the wastewater. So what I mean by that is if you have this here, have a T section in here, you can have another pot next to this one, and they're all connected. So all the draining will go all along. You can have as many pots as you want connected together. You know, the one at the end has an elbow. And basically you can run 10, 20, 40, 50 pots all in a line. All their wastewater will go to the same place. So then you collect in a bigger wastewater somewhere else. The features of this are you can do so much with these ProPots. That's why they're one of our favorites. First of all, this is just a stand. Helps with your runoff. But if you don't want the stand, you just want to go flat to the ground, you can. Just knowing that you don't have a lot of height for your runoff. As well as that, you have your two buckets. So you have the bucket, which is a flat bottom. You know, we drill a hole, but it doesn't have to have a hole in it if you're doing deep water culture. It also has a grid net pot. So your medium, once you've flushed it through and the bits have fallen out, it'll stop things from falling through, but allow for really good drainage. What makes these more professional is that on these ridges here, you can see there's a caved in bits here. So on the full sides, you can put it all the way in, and it still leaves about this much gap at the bottom for water to fall through and collect. Otherwise, you can stage it up to the half, gives you a lot more height. So either you're giving your plants an even canopy by one's a bit shorter, it's not reaching my lights, the others are taller, so you can bring this one up without having to change anything. Or you can do it just so you've got that more drainage if you really need that space. So that works really well for recirculating as well. Otherwise, if you run just a bucket, you can use one of these specially made net pots. So they fit directly on top here with a little hole for your air stone cable to go into, because if you're doing deep water, you'd have your air stone in there. You fill this with your clay balls or perlite, plants in there, and they're just sitting in the water. So there's so many ways to use this pot. It's why it's one of our favorites. Along with that, you'll also see that there's holes cut all the way around the rim. That's for you to tie down if you need to tie your plant limbs down, spread them out or anything like that for training. They connect through on both, and they even come in on this one as well. So it lines up and you can put the lines through. So no more drilling holes in the sides of your pots if that's something that you do. This is our most popular system. We sell more of these than anything. They're a great startup and the results are phenomenal. If you want to recirculate it, all you do is, instead of doing run to waste, you run your drainage back to your reservoir. So simple feed, run to waste, connect the waste back into here. Don't use cocoa, use something else like perlite clay balls. Then you've got a recirculating system. Plant's too short, raise it up. If you don't want to do any of that and you just want to go deep water culture, you don't need this, you don't need this, you might need this, and your air stones. And then you've got a deep water culture system. Great product, not a bad price. Talk to us about it.